out here managing careers, families, and crises like a pro. So why does your own life feel like the one you just can't quite get right? This is something I see all the time with smart, driven, capable women, especially women over 40. You've done the right things, you've followed all the rules, you've checked all the boxes, and yet, when it comes to your own fulfillment, your own peace, your own next chapter, it feels weirdly hard. So you start asking yourself questions like, is this procrastination? Am I overthinking? Why can't I just figure this out? Or am I just so busy holding everything together for everyone else that I never quite get around to myself? But what if none of that is actually the problem? What if the very traits that made you successful everywhere else are the same ones backfiring when it comes to redesigning your own life? That's what we're unpacking today. I'm going to walk you through 5 superpowers you already have and show you how to flip them so they finally start working for you instead of against you. And the first place to start is where most of us were trained to succeed in the first place. If you were good at school or work, this will sound familiar. There were rules. There were expectations. There were very clear outcomes. Study, test, grade. Work hard, perform, promotion. That kind of environment is predictable. Psychologists call this the kind learning environment. Basically a setup like school, where if you follow the rules, do the assignment, and show your work, you're handed a gold star for your effort. The future closely resembles the past. Do the same things in the same way, and you pretty much predict the outcome. But personal transformation, reinvention, midlife recalibration, that's a wicked environment. There's no syllabus, no clear answers, no guarantee that effort equals outcome. And herein lies the problem. You're treating your life like a test you can prepare for instead of an experience you have to move through. And this doesn't show up in some abstract way. It usually looks like this. You believe clarity is supposed to come before action, so you keep waiting to feel ready. You try to avoid mistakes instead of using them as information. So one off day feels bigger than it really is. You keep looking for the right answer, the smartest move, the safest option, and end up stuck researching instead of moving. That worked when the future closely resembled the past. But personal transformation does not work that way. So here's how you flip this superpower instead of letting it run you. You stop acting like your life has one right answer you're supposed to find, and you start treating it like a series of small, low-stakes experiments. Instead of asking, what's the right move, you ask, what's the very next visible step I can take to move myself forward? Instead of waiting to feel confident, you collect evidence by doing, evidence that you can follow through, recover from missteps, and trust yourself again. Instead of avoiding mistakes, you expect them, because in this environment, mistakes aren't failures, they're feedback. That's how your good student brain finally starts working for you again. Not by chasing certainty, but by learning in motion. Once you've been trained to succeed in predictable environments, there's another strength that usually sneaks in right behind it. Your high standards. Your high standards probably made you exceptional. You care, you show up, you don't cut corners. That's why people trust you. That's why things get done. That's why you've been successful. But when those same high standards turn inward during personal growth, they don't motivate you. They morph into perfectionism. And perfectionism doesn't motivate you. It paralyzes you. It usually looks like this. You set a plan or an intention, and the first time you don't follow it perfectly, you assume something is wrong with you. One off day turns into, see, I knew I couldn't stick to anything. One missed intention turns into, why do I always fall off? So instead of adjusting, you start over or give up entirely. But here's the thing. Your perfectionism isn't the enemy. It's misdirected excellence. The issue isn't that you expect a lot. It's what you're expecting perfection from. You've been holding yourself to perfect outcomes in an environment that's designed for learning, not perfection. So here's how you flip this superpower. You stop using your standards to judge the outcome, and you start using them to study the pattern. So instead of asking, why can I get this right? Or saying, I didn't stick to the plan, I suck. I've said those words myself, so I know exactly what that feels like. You ask, what does this moment tell me about my energy, my capacity, my expectations? A hard day isn't proof you failed, it's information. And when you use your standards to learn instead of punish, they become an asset again, not a roadblock. Now, once you stop treating your life like a test and you loosen the grip of perfectionism, there's another strength that tends to kick in an overdrive. Your problem solver brain. You're smart. You're capable. You're used to figuring things out. That ability has probably served you incredibly well. When there's a right answer, oh, you'll find it. When there's a system, oh, you'll optimize the heck out of that thing. But when it comes to changing your life, that same strength can quietly turn into a trap. Because instead of moving, you start searching. It usually looks like this. You keep asking, what's the best option? You research, compare, save posts, listen to podcasts, waiting for clarity to magically appear. You feel like if you just think a little longer, read a little bit more, analyze one more angle, the right move will reveal itself. So you stay in your head while your life stays exactly where it is. Here's the reframe though. There is no single right answer for your life. There is only your answer discovered through action. Your life is not a math problem. It doesn't have one correct solution. It's a science experiment. So here's how you flip this superpower instead of letting it keep you stuck. You stop asking, what's the smartest choice? And you start asking, what's one option I'm genuinely curious to test? You move from overanalysis to experimentation. You test, you observe, you tweak. Because clarity doesn't come before action in this environment. It comes because of it. That's how your problem solver brain starts working for you again. Not by finding the perfect answer, but by learning your way forward. And real quick, if this is hitting a little too close to home, go ahead and tap that like button. And if you're feeling seen right now, drop a me in the comments so I know I'm not talking to myself. If you've been nodding along so far, this next one will feel very familiar. There's another strength that often develops right alongside achievement, problem solving, and high standards. You're extremely responsive to feedback. You spent most of your life being evaluated, grades, performance reviews, approval. You learned how to read the room, how to adjust, and how to deliver exactly what was expected of you. And again, that skill worked. It kept you employed, it kept you progressing, it kept you successful. But when it comes to designing your own life, that same strength can quietly turn against you. Here's how it might show up for you. Everyone has an opinion about who you should be. Family, friends, social media, culture. And because you're good at feedback, you take it all in. You pivot. You second guess yourself. You change direction on a whim. Why? Because you've been trained to trust external signals more than your own internal ones. So over time, guess what happens? You lose the sound of your own voice. It's not that you don't know what you want. It's that your internal signal has been drowned out by years of external noise. So here's how you flip this superpower instead of letting it pull you off course. You stop treating input as instructions and you start treating it as data. Instead of asking, what do they think I should do? You ask, how does this actually feel in my body? Instead of changing direction every time new advice shows up, you test small choices and notice your response. Do you have more energy, more clarity, more resistance? Those signals matter because rebuilding trust with yourself doesn't come from more opinions. It comes from listening and responding to your own internal feedback again. And here's one more strength that ties all of this together. Your ability to push. You know how to grind. You know how to power through. You know how to push through discomfort. That strength probably carried you through so many different real seasons of your life. Deadlines, hard years, situations where you had to hold it together. And in the short term, that mindset works beautifully. But life redesign is different. There's no finish line, no final exam, no moment where you're officially done. So when you apply power through energy here, something else starts to happen. Like you overcommit, then feel overwhelmed when real life kicks in. You expect yourself to maintain peak energy every day and judge yourself when you can't. You tell yourself to just push a little harder, even when your body and nervous system are clearly asking for something different. And eventually, Miss Burnout shows up, and she can be ruthless. Because powering through was never meant to be the long-term strategy for becoming who you're evolving into. So here's how you flip this superpower instead of letting it destroy you. You stop designing your life for your best days, and you start designing it for your real ones. You create a medium day plan, what you can realistically sustain when motivation inevitably fades. And a worst day plan, the smallest identity affirming action you can take when life be lifing. Not to lower your standards, but to protect your momentum. That's how your ability to push starts working for you again. Not by burning you out, but by helping you build something that lasts. So if you've been feeling stuck, frustrated, or disappointed in yourself, hear me clearly. You're not failing. You're just using an outdated operating system for the woman you're becoming. Your superpowers, they still work. They just need to be aimed at identity, not performance. And once you make that shift, everything changes. And if you want a safe place to practice this, I created some fabulous free resources and a supportive community inside the Escapers Lab, where we test this together in real life. No pressure, no perfection, just progress. Progress that feels like you again. I'd love for you to join me. Links in the description below. Now, my fellow escaper, go be your own kind of different. Toodaloo!